Hi, good morning, everybody. So, 18th April is a great day of celebration for us, Pradhanites. However, we cannot rejoice at this time of this acute public health crisis. Nothing in our recent memory has impacted the entire world like COVID-19 pandemic. After all, who would have imagined half the world going on lockdown mode, and we dutifully keep track of the morbidity and death counts all day long. So that's the irony. And but on a serious note, going by the deliberations of the previous session, the situation is indeed extremely challenging in the rural areas. Abhijit and I will talk about what's next and how the future would look like in the short and medium term future, and explore possibilities of our engagements with the most pressing problems that India is anticipated to face. As on date, India has in some ways contained the spread of the disease and minimized losses of precious lives, but time only tell whether we are successful and to what extent. However, its economy has been battered. As the country enters into an extended lockdown, we are caught between the dilemma of saving lives or protecting livelihoods. As Binjo mentioned, the most marginalized, the daily wage earners, laborers in unorganized sectors, cultivators, and those at the fringes of our society have been quite disproportionately affected. And millions of daily wage laborers and unsalaried workers in our towns and cities have made their way back to the safety of their villages. And while many more are, stranded across the country. The numbers are, one can only guess. We are now noticing a near collapse of the rural economy. Crops are not getting harvested. And if harvested, the produce is sold at throwaway prices as all the existing supply chains are broken. In the villages, the households are running low on food stock, and there is a huge erosion of whatever meager saving that they had. For some years, the rural areas have already been under massive economic stress, we all know. On top of this large-scale return of migrant workers and this lockdown has further aggravated the situation as the stream of remittance dried up for many resource-poor families, and there is no income opportunities in the villages. The toll on livelihoods is going to be massive, really and massive. Giving rise to a more painful crisis, perhaps. In this scenario, Pradhan, with its direct presence in 10,000 villages of India across 7 states, with 400 professionals at the grassroots, I believe we are in a unique position to change the situation. Pradhan has been early off the block in its response as the crisis unfolded, especially during the lockdown phase. As we engage in the immediate issues, we need to prepare ourselves to address the challenges post-lockdown phase. We are emphasizing on post-lockdown phase as it would be too premature at this stage to build or speculate a post-COVID scenario. But one thing is quite certain, it cannot be business as usual for any of the sectors. For us, it is imperative to see beyond our conventional mode of engagement. India will be dealing with very different set of realities in the coming years. We cannot continue with a few metro-based growth centers sucking up virtually everything, ideas, investments, talents, labor from villages. And COVID has actually brought out the inherent flaws of this model. We have to correct this major anomaly and work with a new vision for India. There is not an iota of doubt that the clamor for employment would soon reach unimaginable scale and intensity, especially in the rural areas. In such scenario, what would be the solution? The experts suggest creation of decentralized economic clusters, harnessing the skills and local people with managerial abilities. It has to be also based on the enterprises of the local collectives, local producers, including farmers, artisans. This make an inclusive development model more conceivable. Each such cluster should be able to create self-reliant systems of production, processing, marketing to create livelihoods and employment for all the able-bodied youth in that particular area, maybe 20,000 to 50,000 people in a district. Do we see our roles in the promotion of economic clusters? Do we play roles? Can we play roles in reviving local area economy? As of now, we do not have experiences of that. So far in agriculture and livelihood promotion, we have engaged with people who have lands and have know-how of farming. Let us accept that so far we have not engaged meaningfully with people who are landless. Also, skill self-employment is another major area remaining untouched that could have gainfully engaged rural youth and contributed to household income. Now, with large number of people, most of whom at the prime of their youth are returning to the villages, they would require new skill sets to integrate with the rural economy. Can we think of creating new values through our engagements? Does it need us to engage differently given the challenges anticipated in the rural areas? A major challenge relates to revitalizing the agroecological systems. One of the major causes of rural distress we understand is the depletion of natural resources over the years. With more people now likely to retain themselves in the villages, the pressure on land and water will now increase with more exploitation to provide food and cash income. This trend needs to be reversed through extensive soil, water conservation, and supporting farmers to adopt regenerative farming practices. Both these would call for good deal of initial investments, and can we create assured funding avenues besides MG and RDGS to undertake the work on a large scale. We need to understand the social impact of COVID with massive unemployment and households fast slipping back to poverty. How would that affect the social discourse? Already there are reports of increasing domestic violence in urban areas. What would be the impact in the rural areas on women, the landless, the tribal, and the SCs, Dalits? There is no doubt that the time has come for us to think and act differently in the coming years. As such, the conventional paradigm of development has shown its fragility in the face of this pandemic. It has caught everyone off guard. It will surely be the big story of our lifetime, except that we don't know it now and fully. Perhaps we are paying for our arrogance. We have manipulated science to the extent that we started thinking that we were almost invincible. Hope the current experience makes us little humble and conscious of our fallibility. Experts are saying that COVID is going to stay at least for a couple of years and may continue to recur. We now have to come up with intervention plans and methods and conduct our lives keeping in mind the recurrence of the pandemic. We will be required to adopt new norms and behavior like social distancing, community vigil, etc. And that may require new institutions to sustain the behavior change. We are concluding here. We invite you to ask questions.
I think Satya has taken the group through the whole, ideas that we discussed. I just wanted to make one point regarding this, the scale of investments that we are looking at. And we are just doing a back of the envelope kind of calculation. And we are just taking into account that we work across 10,000 villages. And one primary need, what we understand is that, you have to recapitalize the whole rural economy. Money has to go to the hands of the people. And generally we talk of, the trickle down theory, but I think it's not, and Pradhan has always been about, strengthening the base. So from trickle down, we actually need to now talk about trickle up. So unless until this base is strengthened, you just cannot kickstart or reboot the economy. And so the calculation that I was doing was this, like for 10,000 villages, even if you have some semblance of relief work, which gives cash in the hands of the community so that they can buy inputs for the next batch of kharif crops, if they have some cash incomes too for other necessities. So 25 lakhs is what a bare minimum amount, and that itself is some 2,500 crores just going into Pradhan villages. Now we have to introspect whether the public systems would be able to fund channelize so much amount of money, or we have to be actually thinking of other instruments of financing such kind of programs. And we have started discussions around DABE, carbon fund. So these are all new financial instruments that has to come into play. So, and for Pradhan, we have to take this into account in her future strategies also. So I'll rest at here, and of course we'll take questions as they come. Thank you.